If you're a beginner at the gym, I'm gonna show you guys one of the best upper body workouts that I wish I would have known 10, 20 years ago. 3 specific movements for this upper body workout. Show you the muscles we're engaging, how to specifically target that muscle, how you're gonna improve on it, what to do and what to avoid during those movements. So we're either gonna go close to failure, if not to failure. We need stability because the more stability you have, the better you are at engaging that specific muscle. If you're squatting on a Bosu ball versus on the ground, you're gonna have more stability on the ground and you're gonna be less prone to injury risks. Anywhere from 10 to 20 sets per muscle per week, progress and go from there. We're gonna fully lengthen the muscle and make sure it's challenged in the fully lengthened position. As soon as you start the movement to about halfway, that's when you're fully lengthening the muscle. Let's start it off. Let's do the first 2 exercises. We're gonna do a superset, close to failure, if not to failure. Let's go, let me show you the setup. You could use plates, you could use anything that's metal, that's firm. I'm gonna place this over here so we're not in the way of everybody else. You think over here would be fine? Don't do this at your local gym. The only reason I'm doing this is because I don't want to, get into anybody's privacy at the gym. So, like I said, we're gonna grab plates. The first movement, a push-up deficit. We're gonna make sure that we fully lengthen the muscle at the bottom position. Control the movement the entire time, so 2 to 8 seconds, because that allows you to control the movement and really fully engage in the muscle. Don't worry, they have more plates here. Do not worry, we have more plates here. Make sure your setup is correct. That's what happens when you start sweating, dude. You can use plates, you can use anything elevated that's firm, that's not gonna allow you to fall over. We're gonna use plates. We're gonna set this up. For the first time, I'm just gonna show you guys how I do it. We're gonna start the movement. We're doing deficit push-ups. You want the deficit push-ups to be about shoulder width apart, depending on your limbs, if you have any injuries, just really your preference. But the biggest key takeaway is really just feeling that stretch at the bottom, put a lot of tension on the muscle fibers. And specifically, if we're trying to engage in the chest, we want to keep our elbows further away from our torso because that's going to allow us to put more tension on the muscle fibers in our chest. The closer our elbows are to our waistline, we're going to engage more triceps. Let's start this off. You always want to make sure you feel that stretch at the bottom. Even if you can't come all the way up, I think it's more beneficial if you just come to about halfway and then go down. Another key aspect to this, keep your butt up because there's going to be more gravitational pull on your upper body versus a balance throughout your whole entire body. I might have to add another plate just because I'm a little bit taller, so my limbs are a little bit longer. All right, next we're gonna move up to the pull-ups. We're gonna superset this, kind of same idea. We wanna make sure we challenge the muscle in the fully lengthened position. It's a little bit harder for the pull-ups because I'm already here. The only tension is your body weight. And then the next important key factor is that we wanna drive our chest up and close to the bar as much as we can. We're gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna superset it. Try to do as minimal rest as you can, but before you enter the pull-up, make sure you catch your breath before you start it. Immediately, we're gonna go wide. Wide, usually you tend to hit your upper back more, your teres minor, your teres major, your rhomboid. Ultimately, you hit your entire back. Marginal improvements in certain areas more or less than others, so let's go. right, we're just gonna take a rest in between. I like to go for the approach of 1 to 3 minutes until I catch my breath. I always make sure in between sets that whatever exercise I targeted, so because I targeted my push-ups, I wanted to make sure my chest muscles, pectoral muscles gave out before my triceps or my shoulders. Next most important factor is that I have some type of stretch at the bottom. And sometimes when you know that you feel the movement and it's correct, it's not a big indicator, but getting a pump, as in all the blood kind of circulating in that specific area, you get some type of swelling. That's a pretty good indicator whether you're actually hitting the muscle or not. Because I'm a little bit out of breath, we just did a superset to take 1 to 3 minutes in between, and then we just restart it for the next set. Because I just did, I think I did 15, 16 reps, more so on the next one, we just try to get close to it, or if not, we beat it. But because it's my first set, I think I warmed up, so I should get close to it again. I accidentally scared off everybody. All right.
You gotta take muscle. For me, I try my best to make sure I get the frame, but you know, cameras.
But you know, I always love your angles regardless. All right, we're gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna listen to my music because that's the only thing that really actually relaxes and relieves me and helps me stay focused. Other than that, I kind of just tell myself before I go into every set, always make yourself proud. Remember that inner child inside of you and don't disappoint that child. All right, it's gonna take a few seconds. We might just have to wait another minute or two longer. Other than that, I think I might add one more plate just to get a deeper stretch at the bottom. I felt a stretch. I felt like I can get more of it. Like I said, because my limbs are a little bit longer. If you're a little bit taller, I'm 6'1", I'm gonna need that extra stretch. So, all right, it's open, let's go. All right, that was about 15, 16 reps. We're gonna take another 1 to 3 minutes. Let me take out my headphones. We have about 2 to 3 more sets. If you're a beginner, you wanna start with the least amount of load that it takes for you to see the most results. So if you could see the most results just by doing 4 sets and 5 sets of each exercise, start from there. You always wanna start at the bottom because if you're already at the top of the mountain, you have nowhere else to go. And then increase the weight load. You can always add a weighted vest to increase the weight load, especially if you surpass 30 reps. Sometimes I do, but I always make sure once I pass that 30 reps, my breath is still fine. There's different variations to increase the intensity, the workload of this. You can always figure out a way to just improve this exercise and make it harder. So don't even think the basics are easy or that you shouldn't be doing it. I think just sticking to the basics has probably the best impact on your body, besides your diet, besides your sleep, besides your stress levels, your genetics. I think just doing these 2 exercises for your upper body is amazing. And I've been doing it for myself for the past year or 2, and I definitely feel like I've noticed a huge difference. Even when my diet aligns, I just get better pumps, I feel better. I'm less overall fatigued. This is an easier learning curve, and I could generally do these 2 to 3 times a week and not have an issue. And sometimes on that second or third time that week I do this, I add the weight load just to kind of change it up, more volume to my work. But as long as your volume throughout the week is equal to the next one and then the one after that, that's all that matters. All right. Thanks for letting me know, Kevin. Huh?
It's just for an hour, I thought.
What'd you say?
It's just for an hour, I thought. You told me like straight up, you told me to let you know.
Yeah, no, it's true. That's my buddy Kev, and he told me he was gonna charge me for 3 hours, but we're only doing one. And I said, you know what, dude, just for you, it's okay. But in time, you're gonna contact me, and you're gonna want my advice. And I'm gonna tell you my advice. Be the best person you can. All right, so we're gonna take another minute. My breath is almost there. I feel good. I'm starting to slowly get a pump. I'm also dieting still. I don't have that much muscle glycogen in my muscles because I'm reducing the amount of food intake I'm getting, even from my carbohydrates, which is specifically important for any type of moderate to intense workout. I'm not saying I'm doing low carb, I'm not, but reducing my food volume. So this is gonna probably impact my work performance. Let's just take another few more seconds and then I'm gonna get into it. But abdominal muscles are always hard for me. Obviously diet is the most important part to see the full 4-pack, 6-pack, whatever you would see. Genetics help as well, but I would never let that undermine me or tell me that I can't have abdominal muscles. One more plate and then we're gonna go into it. Just real quick, as you guys can see, I slowed down the movement on the eccentric. Important, just not if, more important than the concentric, which is just pushing the weight away. So make sure you always control the movement, especially on the eccentric portion. All right, let's do the pull-ups. All right, I left this. One more set. And then we go in the abs and that's it.
All right, cool. Sounds good.
All right, guys, I'm just gonna take another 1 to 3 minutes. Like I said, you don't need that much rest for bodyweight exercises, but because I went to failure, you might need a little bit more. If you apply a weighted vest, probably gonna need a little bit more. It doesn't cause as much systemic fatigue on my body. I still love the movement. I get a nice pump, and I can always overload it somehow by either adding plates so I can feel that stretch, just adding a vest, doing more reps, slowing down the movement. There's always a way to have a really good workout, even if you're a beginner. And these are stuff I wish I knew when I first started working out, because if somebody taught me this, I probably would have just stuck with this for the rest of my life and still had a great physique besides focusing on your diet and everything like that. And I would have had less injuries throughout the year trying to learn all the other movements. Not saying weights or anything are bad, they're not. I still apply them every here and there. But I think majority of my workouts have now just been a lot more calisthenics I'm also a little bit older, so I'm in my 30s, so it's also going to be different. It applies to me maybe because I do want to save a little bit more of my joints as I get older, and I want to be able to keep doing this for the rest of my life. Let's take another minute, and then this is going to be the last set. My last 3 sets have been 25 to 30 reps. We're going to try to get the same, maybe if not more. And then the pull-ups have been around 15, 16 reps. So I'm really trying to get good form, good technique, not compensate, not ego lift, not ego body lift. Put out my all, because you'll never get this day back ever. All right. All right, let's get ready, let's get focused. All right, last one. All right, that was it for the upper body. Well, that was it for chest, back, and you're also indirectly hitting biceps, triceps, shoulders. Ultimately, you're hitting everything. Now we just gotta do the next movement, which is gonna be your abdominal muscles. That's more of a workout than actually doing the workout. Yeah, don't, if you have plates, I think they have the 100-pound plates. I'd probably just grab one of those. All right, last movement. It's gonna be old-fashioned sit-ups. All right, guys, so for this last movement, we're doing abdominals. One of the functions of the abdominal wall is spinal extension and flexion. So that's where sit-ups gonna come into play. I usually grab a pad and I put the pad underneath my lumbar so I get full extension and flexion on my spine. But because I didn't bring it, we're just gonna do regular sit-ups. But there's some key movements where we can make regular sit-ups even better. And if you don't have any equipment, that's perfectly fine. Instead of even grabbing dumbbells, just grab something heavy and just put it over your feet, just enough to support you, or you could tuck your feet in underneath your couch and use that as support. I do have dumbbells, so this is how we're gonna do it. Like I said prior, the more stability you have in an exercise, the better you are at fully engaging the muscle. So we're putting our feet underneath the dumbbells for that specific reason. We're keeping our hips on the floor at all times. The reason I prefer this over the hanging leg raise is because sometimes my hip flexors give out before my actual abdominal wall does, or sometimes my forearms give out, but also it could just be you strengthening your forearms or hip flexors. Because of that reason alone, I like this. And you can always increase the weight load just by putting weight on your chest to increase the volume overload you do. So like I said, we're putting our feet underneath the dumbbells, just a few inches apart from our heels. Keep your hips at the floor at all times. A big thing with this is we don't want to come up with our back. We want to make sure we curl up and make sure our spine is flexed at all times. So guys, instead of keeping your back straight and just coming up, all you're really doing is you're engaging a lot of hip flexors which is part of what we're doing for the sit-ups. Curl your spine and then come down slow while keeping your hips on the floor. Again, we're going close to failure, if not to failure. I'm telling you, once you control the movement on the eccentric, they're not as easy as you think. Same thing applies, close to failure, if not to failure. I did about 30, I want to say 28 good reps. The only thing that was limiting was my abdominal muscles, and that gave out before anything else. And then other than that, we're just gonna do it 3 more times. Take a minute or 2 rest in between because it's just your body weight, and give it your all. Another few key points whenever you start doing workouts, always make sure you write as many reps, how many workload you did the past few weeks, because you can always look back. I personally always like to look back at my notebook and see if I could beat it. I like to use a notebook over my phone because I'm already on my phone all the time, and the phone can be a really big distraction, especially when you're trying to take notes and you start seeing calls, text messages, and then it distracts you. You're in the gym to look better, to feel better, to overall improve your health, and to take on the rest of the world. Stick to each variation for each program for 2 to 3 months. You can always change it. You can, instead of doing pull-up, you could do chin-ups. Instead of doing deficit push-ups, you could just do regular push-ups. Like I said, you could add weight. You could do dumbbells instead and replace those. But try to stick to the program for 2 to 3 months until either you get bored, you stop seeing results, until you lose motivation. Make sure you always have a fair diet, your sleep schedule is good, your stress levels is pretty low. And other than that, this is probably one of the best upper body workouts I could think for beginners. For intermediates, really focused on form, technique, and you should be having one of the best physiques you can possibly have with minimal injuries.